We are going to see something about Azure DevOps. So Azure DevOps, this is a continual series of lectures, series of videos on Azure DevOps. So today, what we are going to see is what do you mean by workflow? And along with the workflow, when you talk about workflow, there are other things. There is something which is more important than workflow. It's an agile process um, and your Git workflow. So those things today we are going to see that one. As usual, these are the cheat sheets that I'm talking about, and along with these cheat sheet, there are a couple of labs also there. So once you join the course, then I will explain you the how we do the labs basically. There are a couple of labs, close to 25 labs are there in this in our course, and you can learn those concepts through labs. But for a cheat sheet. This is just to recap. For exam or for an interview purpose, you cannot go through all the the theoretical part again and again because it's very less time between the interviews. So what is important here is to how fast we can recap the entire concept of Azure DevOps. So if you see the Azure DevOps course, that what we cover. The first one is planning and structure the workflow for continuous delivery and feedback. Then implementing traceability in Azure DevOps, implementing version control, designing and implementing agile workflow. This is something we're going to see today. And then organizing code using Azure repos, and followed by this complete curriculum um, of the certification. Now the certification exam or your um, for your training, complete training. And this training is basically will prepare you for the exam called Easy 400. So if you are looking for your career in Azure DevOps, if you have already experience, then it will be a enhancement of your career. If you're just started your career, then it will be really have very helpful. And if you're planning to come to the Azure DevOps, then this will be your kind of a gateway. So let's start. I don't want to spend more time on uh, just discussion. That let's start with the Azure DevOps projects. Let's see the projects. So normally when we talk about any project, so most of the projects on the planet, only 30% projects are successful. That means that 70% project or 65 to 70% projects are failure. And that's the software project outcome. What is the outcome of the project? Sometimes it's a negative impact, sometimes it's a positive impact, and sometimes it's a neutral impact. So if you club with these neutral and negative, that will be more than your positive impact, right? So just giving you the overall picture. Um, so there is a new concept called data-driven concept. So that includes observe, orient, um, decide, and act. Just called OODA. That's the concept called OODA: observe, orient, decide, and act. This is all your continuous integration, continuous delivery, that kind of concept. But sometime during interview, they ask you this thing. So in this continuous integration and why we are looking for continuous integration, because we know that it's not easy to release a single version or multiple version. No, it's not easy to release any specific version without the failure, and more time you take to find the failure, that ultimately increase your release timing. So they want what's the most ideal situation? You are inviting the failures. I mean, you are failing fast. That means whatever you want to fail, I mean, whatever you want to test, and that might lead to a failure, that should be in an early stage of project, not the latter stage of project. So here, that's a fail fast concept. It's very important part. Fail fast, fail early concept. That is also a part of your agile process, and that's what the continuous iteration, the plan, build, continuous integration, deploy, operate, feedback, continuous. These are the typical continuous integration concept. So we have seen this workflow. Workflow, the concept of workflow means uh, how we are connecting the dots in DevOps. People are writing the code, then you do the build, then somebody will do the testing, and then artifacts get created, then you will deploy the artifacts. So, but if you want to settle down those things, then the first thing is a plan, test, assign, monitor. So somebody has to plan first and then build based on the plan. Some task needs to be created and thus those tasks needs to be assigned to someone. And once you assign those tasks, then you can monitor those things, monitor whether the task is being performed correctly or not. So if this is done, then you will do the testing. If the testing fails, then again you need to do the planning. So workflow strategy should be seen as a guiding principle. Workflow means if you have any feature or if you have any dev environment, then you will create the separate branches for the dev and you know uh, separate branches for a new feature. Let's say assume that you're you have the code and somebody is writing the code and you know uh, suddenly customer come to you and say we need to add these new feature which is not so far tested. So what you will do is you will create the new branch, that's a feature branch. You will do all the testing in that feature branch for that particular feature, and end of the third branch and that feature branch, you will do the pull request from the main branch. We'll see that one. So in all these things, the best answer is the agile process, because agile is not a process, it's a guardrail kind of thing that will help the companies to be more aligned with fail early. Those are the buzzing word of the DevOps concept, that you need to be continuous integration. It should be continuous. Second thing is should be fail early, fail safe, know fail fast kind of thing. So ultimately, what we are trying to achieve here is by failing fast, we want to make sure that we are uh, releasing multiple changes or multiple versions of of that product, or multiple iterations. Maybe one of the iteration will suffice the requirement. And as you know, the requirements are keep on changing as per the based on the market trends, and to align with those changes, to align with this cope up with the market trend, you need to be fail fast. And if something is working, okay, not working, let me know. So that kind of thing, this is called agile process. So the basic fundamental behind the agile process, we need to have a stand-up meeting, frequency, relevant, to the point, and time limited things. So stand-up meetings help you to understand and explain what you are doing, what you will be doing, and what you have already done. Something which is version control, iterative feedback, version control, uh, to manage the different versions of your code. This is called version control. Here, there was the example I was giving you that the it start with the main branch, then you realize that there's a new feature, then you have created this branch, the feature branch, then you have multiple releases. So first release, second release, and third release. After the third release, you feel that this is the final outcome of that feature branch, and then you do the now you will merge it with the master branch. This is typical, you know whenever you're in the interview, when you say, tell me about your current environment. So this is the typical DevOps environment. Remember, guys, always when you are in an interview, be a simple and be be bold in that. If you are very simple, you can learn those things very fast, and that's what we do in our classes. This is version control, a main branch, release branch, development, and feature. Here, the feature that will get merged into development, development will get merged into release, and release will get merged into the main branch. So, or you can say the pull request for the same. Commit is something very important because commit will help you to identify what you have done in the past. So, commit messages should be very specific, uh, meaningful messages needed to mention during the commit. So when you talk about Azure DevOps workflow, the first is definitely Agile. You know that Agile, Scrum, Basic, and CMMI. The complexity is something like this. CMMI is more complex. Agile is a little bit less. Scrum is a little bit less. Basic is it's very simple. So the basic work term, when you create the basic work term, the first thing is the epic. Epic is a very large body encompassing really many issues. Issues, it doesn't mean that problem. Issue work items for tracking the specific issue, and issue will they can get divided into the task. So basic stage to do something we want to do, something you are doing, and something you have already done. Agile work item, the top is epics, then feature, then user stories, and then task. Just remember this thing, guys. When you start working in an Azure DevOps environment, these things needs to be handy. The top is with epics, um, and then feature, and then user story. Then what do you mean by epic? When you start the project, you first, let's say, assuming that there's a new feature that you need to build, that is called epic. And inside the epic, multiple features will be there. So the feature will be inside the epic, and then user stories. Multiple users are working on the different tasks of that feature. This is called a user feature. So Scrum world portfolio back is epic is the very the big umbrella, and this is a feature which is the backlog and issue tracking, and product backlog items and tasks and this bugs and stuff. So task is the smallest part of your Scrum or the work items, right? So this is just a introduction about that. There is no, by the way, this is not a complete training, but important thing is these are the something called cheat sheets. So 10 cheat sheets will help you to prepare for your next interview. And definitely once you go through the capstone project, you will be heading you will be you'll be working on those projects. And by the way, we help you to get or work on some real world projects with the real world guys. So we will help you to to show you how thing works in the real world. And but for that, definitely you need to guys first you need to attend the training, because without the training we cannot put you in the onto the project, even uh, for monitoring or for watching. Okay, so if you like it, please you can contact me. My number is there um, in the in the channel details, or in the uh, comment box. You can reach me and we can start a new course. Thank you and happy learning, guys. We will have more videos, such similar video. If you are looking for similar video, call me. We'll prepare a new video for you. Thank you, guys.